Hello, this is Chapter 5, Section 24 of Ori and the Dragon Chain. Iristina and her friends ran around the city looking for Nosmu and Marth, but after sunset, they gathered in front of the school's main gate. Everyone was out of breath, and you could see on their expressions of impatience on their faces. How was it? Did you fight the two of them? No, I wasn't in the north section. The artisan district is no good either. He wasn't even in the civic district. Iristina asks Theo and the others who have returned, but the results are not good. The only ones left are Tima, who went to see the commercial district, and Sheena, who went to the outer edge. When Iristina first started looking for Nosmu and the others, she immediately headed to the boys' dormitory. However, she only received surprised looks from her dorm mates, and Nosmu was not there. After that, I ran around the town looking for them, but I still couldn't find them. Mars is probably somewhere in the commercial district, but Nosmu? Damn, where is he? Iristina bites her lip as she can't find Nosmu, but she tries her best to remain calm. I wish I had asked him sooner. Such regret covers Iristina's heart. Hey, Marth, I found you. However, her best friend's voices reaches her ears. When Iristina turned to the direction of the voice, she saw Tima and Mars running towards her. Mars, Iristina, and the others face each other and remain silent. They all look at Mars with the same harshness. Mars was holding his breath as Iristina and the others looked at him. But when he made up his mind, he bowed deeply in front of them. Everyone, I'm sorry. You've put yourself in danger because of me. Words of apology from Mars, Iristina, and the others accepted Mars' words with stern expressions on their faces. Don't say anything convenient like asking for forgiveness. Hit me as hard as you want. Silence passed between Mars, Iristina, and the others for a while. Mars lowered his head and waited for their words. Eventually, Iristina slowly opened her mouth. Marth, who is the person you most need to apologize to? Do you understand? Oh, I know. If I meet Nosmu, I don't care how much he beats me. I'll accept whatever he says. So please, let me search for Nosmu. Let me search for Nosmu with me. I understand. Is everyone okay? When his head bowed, Marth begs him to let him search for Nosmu with them. As if accepting his apology, everyone nodded at Iristina's word. Thank you. Marth was just as grateful to the girls for being able to accept him again after doing something like that. Everyone was gathered together. At that time, Sheena's voice echoed in front of the main gate behind her. You can see Mr. Henry, who is not supposed to be with her. Sheena and Henry? Iristina and the others were surprised to see Henry, but Sheena continued speaking regardless. I found him. Really? Iristina let out a snarky voice at Sheena's words. She looks around her in a panic, but she can't see Nosmu. Nosmu seems to be okay. He would have talked to me and then went into the forest. What did you say? Iristina hears Sheena's words again. Fuck off, Barshi. And this time she cries out. Perhaps... I should probably put that on silent. Iristina hears Sheena's words again, and this time she cries out, Perhaps because her emotions were so high, she instinctively grabbed onto Sheena. Why did you let him go? He was injured too. Iristina, calm down. Anri, who was surprised by Iristina, who grabbed Sheena, stepped in between her, but she became heated and approached Henry as well. It's a Mrs., yeah. Mrs. Henry, why did you stop it too? Of course, the teacher and I both stopped him, but he said he really didn't want to go there. Well, after listening to him, I could understand his desire to go there. Sheena remembers Nozomu's behaviour when he asked her for a favour. Once again, I want to calm down where my master is sleeping. I will be waiting for you in the hut where I took Sheena and the others back then. So I want you all to come to that place tomorrow. Although anxiety and fear were visible in the depths of his eyes, Nozomu still stared straight back at her. Sheena and Henry could sense that, although he was still held back by the sadness that still lingered in his heart, he still had the will to move forward. What's more, he had specified a place where he had fond memories of talking with his master. There is certainly no suitable place for him to solidify his will. Nozomu, he's at the master's place right now. Master? Iristina and the others tilt their heads at Henry's words. It was Sheena who answered their questions. It's about the person who taught him swordsmanship. Apparently the place he went to was that master's house. Was? Yes, it seems that his master has already passed away. Sheena tells Iristina and the others about Nozomu and his master, and they talked about it at the outer edge. And he came to meet his master, and what led him to learn swordsmanship. Day after day of training, I continued to swing my sword, and these were his last words left to him by his master, who had realized her own death. Nozomu's master seems to have left these last words to him. It doesn't matter if you run away, but don't turn your eyes away from the fact that you ran away. Even if you run away, if you don't forget, you'll be able to move forward someday. Just by those words, anyone can understand how deep the bond was between the two. It ain't that deep. On the other hand, we haven't even heard that Nozomu has a master. Iristina felt as if something had fallen out of her chest. I wonder if Nozomu didn't trust us that much. That thought rears its ugly head, and I feel as if the time I've spent with him is gradually losing its colour. Sheena glanced at Iristina, who lowered her eyes, but she continued talking regardless. And one more thing, he didn't tell me the true nature of his power, but I think the power he has may be dangerous, more dangerous than I think. What does that mean? Everyone present narrowed their eyes and listened to Sheena's words. He said that his powers has another will, and that he thinks of the people of this town as nothing more than bait. What flashes through Iristina's mind is the overwhelming power that Nozomu showed in his fight with Legato. The torrent of power that slammed into easily swept away even Legato's magical power that converted the mansion, overwhelming even the S-rank warriors. That's all power. If you think about it calmly, there is a good chance that there will be some kind of compensation involved. Iristina bit her lips tightly without realizing it. Although there were some elements that I noticed, if you listen to the story, it's no wonder that Nozomu has been acting strange lately. I wonder why I didn't ask him sooner. Only regret ate away at Iristina's chest. I think I've been really worried about that power, and I could tell anyone about it, and I couldn't tell anyone about it, so I just kept pushing it to myself. Does that mean we couldn't do it? Samir? Samir, who was next to Irisdina, muttered with a tearful face. That's not true, Samir, because I didn't want to ask him. Saying that, Irisdina tried to comfort her younger sister, who was about to burst into tears, but contrary to her wishes, Irisdina's mouth did not utter any words. That's not true. In fact, I think it's the opposite. I couldn't talk about it because it was important to me. I know this because I used to be like that. But the more I push my worries away, the more I can't talk about them. Anyway, my heart has become hard. There are times when I just can't move forward. However, Sheena comforted Samira instead of Irisdina. She goes to say Samira's side and bends down, gently stroking Samira's head and her hand and comforting her with her hand. The pain in my chest is getting stronger. The back of her eyelids become hot and tears well up in her eyes. Irisdina desperately bit her lips and desperately tried to hold back the tears. Sheena glanced at her from the side. Nosmu is waiting for a cabin deep in the forest. We know the location, so we'll show you around tomorrow. A cabin in the woods? Mimu and Tom looked at her suspiciously when they heard Sheena's words, but then they called out to her with a surprised expression, as if they had noticed something. Hey Sheena, that hut. Yes, Mimu. That hut we took shelter in earlier. He also asked us to guide him there. Evacuation? Marth and the others can't understand Sheena's conversation. Furthermore, their expressions become even more severe at the unfriendly word evacuation. I'll tell you about that time tomorrow when we head to that hut. It's a place where he was training in swordsmanship with his master, and it's a place that holds a lot of memories for him. Nosmu still has some memories, she says, but he wants to think about it. So I'll leave him alone for today. But Sheena decides to go see Nosmu after some time. However, Irisdina's voice interrupts her words. No, Nosmu is still injured. Anyway, it would be best to let him rest in a proper place. But it's the same for everyone. It is the same for everyone. Even if you're Nosmu, who knows the place well? It's not a good idea to go to the forest at night that you don't know well in an exhausted state. Fuck off. Nosmu's a G, bro. Irisdina's words had a hint of impatience that could be felt even from the edge of her words. Her words are immediately denied by Sheena, but she feels that she must be a good match for Nosmu, and prompted by the feeling of impatience swelling in her chest, she heads to the forest. Wait, Irisdina. However, surprisingly, it was Marth who put the weight on Irisdina. Sheena's words, everyone is exhausted, stopped him from losing his mind. If he wanted me to wait, let's wait, he said. He would talk to me properly. Yeah, that's what I said. Marth asks Sheena to confirm, and Sheena nods in response. Then that's enough for me. I think he'll be fine in the forest at night. Marth's words are spun as if they were squeezed out, and there is no arrogant atmosphere that he had up until now. Oh, you're quite docile. I thought you were going to go into the forest by yourself, as if I had nothing to do with you. I don't know what you're talking about now, but I can't help it if you ask me. Marth weakly replies to Sheena's harsh sarcasm. He gave a self-deprecating smile to himself. He tried to move impatiently again. Is Irisdina okay, too? Irisdina's desire to meet Nozomu and her unwillingness to put everyone in danger collide. Samuya, who was by her sister's side, gently held her hand as she bit her lip. Irisdina felt the irreplaceable warmth of her beloved sister coming through her hands, and slowly nodded in response to Sheena's question. Then let's head over tomorrow after school. The meeting place will be the usual outer edge. As everyone dispersed, after hearing Sheena's words, Marv called out to her as she was about to leave. Sheena, I'm sorry about what happened today. Marv bows deeply and apologizes for his foolishness. Since Sheena also sincerely bowed to her, she doesn't want to blame Marv any further because when she fought the Black Demon herself, her own mistakes put her companions in danger. I understand. I have accepted your apology. Say the rest in front of him. I know. Sheena only said one word. She mentions one more person to whom Marv should apologize. Marv took those words seriously. Irisdina and Samira returned to the mansion, quickly finished their meal, returned to their room, and collapsed onto the bed. Special training exercises and the battles with corpse dragons, the ensuing rift between Nozomu and Marv, and the running around Alakazam in search for them caused her to accumulate fatigue, and her limbs to become heavy like lead, covering her whole body, her entire body. The listlessness of the girl immediately tries to lull her into sleep. However, her body was trying to sleep. Her mind refused to sleep, and as a result, she kept falling asleep and waking up repeatedly. I wonder what he's doing now. Every scene that came to her mind was of him. The image of him in my mind is with his back to me, and I can't see what his face looks like right now. That only made her more anxious. What is this guy? When we first met in the school nurse's office, she volunteered to help treat an injured female student. Now that I think about it, maybe it was because of what happened in the infirmary that even after I found out that he was the person rumored to be, I didn't connect the rumored person directly to him. The next time I met him was in Central Park after school. The second encounter was when he was on his way to pick up Samuya and saw her having a friendly chat with her sister. Samuya was happily talking about having made new friends recently, but Irisdina never imagined that the person would be him. He didn't know that Samuya's older sister was Irisdina either, and his eyes widened in surprise when he saw her. When she saw him, her sense of mischief was aroused, and she started teasing him a little. The aristocratic society is full of people who hide their mushy desires behind the mask of a smile, and the younger sister she had since she was a child is attached to her. That's why Irisdina didn't feel wary of Nozomu either. And the incident that happened on Samuya's birthday, he saved Irisdina and her sister in the incident that occurred due to a secret agreement made in the past between the Francelit family and the Uwajat family. Afterwards, he even gave Samuya a birthday present. Even if Nozomu saved their lives, he never became patronizing and never changed his attitude towards them. For Irisdina and the others who have seen adults whose attitudes suddenly change as soon as they gain an advantage, it may have been inevitable that they would suddenly become attracted to Nozomu, who remained their friend after that. After that, Irisdina invited him out on a date as a thank you. She had been asked out by men many times, but this was the first time she had asked one out herself, and he was so excited. The palm of his hands in hers was warmer than she expected, and it was fun to watch Nozomu panic when, even in places she had never been before, she was so happy that she could move forward naturally. On the way, I stopped at a candy shop, and was able to eat the first candy he had ever made. He and Sonny, whom he first met at a fortune teller's shop, were engaged in a man's-lie-like battle of words. It was fun to see his panicked face when I even tried telling him to call me by my pet name. Then, before I knew it, I was looking into the profile of the man who was walking next to me. Iristina scratches the palm of her hand that she was staring at tightly. The night of my date with Nozomu, just holding his hand made my heart beat faster and my heart warmer. But now only pain runs through my chest. At that moment, I heard a creaking sound and the sound of the room door being opened. When Iristina sat up and looked up towards the door, she saw Samira, in her pajamas, standing there with an anxious look on her face. "Sister? Samira?" Samira stood in front of the door for a while, but then she quickly ran up to her sister on the bed and jumped into her chest. Iristina hurriedly accepts Samira. She's about to ask what's going on, but then she notices her sister's shoulders shaking. "It's okay, Samira, it's okay." Iristina can't help but rub her little sister's back. I gently hugged my sister as if I were handling a piece of glass, trying to ease her anxiety as much as possible. Samira buried her face in her sister's chest for a while. Eventually, when her tremors subside, she pulls away from her sister's body and looks up at her face. However, his face was still hard, as if his anxiety hadn't completely resolved yet. "Sister, it's about Nozomu." As expected, Samira asked about Nozomu. Just like Iristina, Samira was worried about whether she would be able to reconcile with Nozomu, so she probably came to her sister's place to find some peace of mind. Iristina also has the same anxiety. Still, she tries to reassure Samira a little and gently pats her sister's head with a smile on her face. "It's okay. According to Sheena, Nozomu will be waiting for you." Iristina suppresses her inner anxiety and speaks to Samira with a smile on her face. That's what she told herself while trying to reassure Samira. But if Nozomu disappears? Nozomu is also important to Samira. He was a good friend that I went out with and a benefactor who helped my soul. Before she knew it, the sensitive 11-year-old girl began to see the older boy who had helped her as if she were an older brother. The girl who was losing her family more than anything, who fears losing her family more than anything. For her, the anxiety that Nozomu might disappear was so great that even her older sister, who was related to her by blood, couldn't completely erase it. There's nothing left to do. That feeling grows deep in Iristina's heart. If Nozomu disappears, morning training where we worked hard together on the outer edge, I'll never cross swords in that place again. Lunch with Nozomu and the others, even though the food I ate wasn't much different, it tasted many times more delicious than usual. And we walked around town together, that moment that made me smile from the bottom of my heart. All of that will be gone. The moment I imagined such a future, a chill ran down my spine, and I felt as if my heart had fallen out and left a hole in my chest. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't want Nozomu to disappear. I hate not having him next to me. Anxiety that Nosmu, who had been nesting in her heart, might disappear. However, the will to reject such a future was also arising. The thought that there is nothing left for her stirs up her will to reject a future filled with such a sense of loss, giving her the vitality to stand up again. Samuya's worried face is in front of me, although Iristina thinks that her current girlfriend might look like that. The warmth of Samuya's skin in her arms warms her heart, which is frozen with anxiety. Wipe away the darkness that nestled in there. Samuya, it's true that we have no choice but to do it again. We have one more chance. Sister, the thought of not wanting to lose him burns away the anxiety that had nested in Iristina's heart. This is the critical moment. The battle between the fear of losing and the will to reject it ends in the victory of the will to overcome this situation. Not wanting to lose the warmth she felt in these hands, Iristina expresses her feelings in quick succession. It hadn't been decided that he's going to disappear yet. This hand is still within reach. So let's go see Nosmu again. I tell this to my precious Samuya, and most importantly to myself. This time, let's make it properly this time. With the determination in my heart, Iristina swore in front of her precious sister. In a forest where not even the moonlight shines through, there, a huge body, the size of a house, was lying on the ground. A dead body drained of blood and emitting a rotten smell. Its scales, which shines like jewels when it was alive, have been cruelly gouged out, and the body above its neck has been cut off and lies on the ground. A dragon that was pregnant, with the paradox of being alive even though it was dead. He had been bound by the cravings of hunger and thirst, and now he was truly freed from his suffering. Normally would have no longer move and would continue to serve as food for animals and insects. However, there is a shadow moving next to the corpse, a mysterious figure with a hood pulled over his head. When he touched the corpse dragon's body with his hand, it became enveloped in white light. When the light that stood out in the darkness covered the corpse dragon's body, the dragon's body suddenly bulged. There was a thumping sound, like a heartbeat, and the corpse was twitching and convulsing. As the white light enveloped his back, the wings had lost on his back began to be restored. The head that was supposed to have been cut off floats in the air and ends up in its rightful place. Eventually the heartbeat stopped and the convulsion subsided. The corpse dragon's closed eyes opened, and the corpse dragons, which had been motionless, woke up. A hooded figure and a corpse dragon face each other. It is impossible to see the facial expression of the person wearing the hood. However, the corpse dragon also showed no signs of attacking. Was it because the person in front of her had revived her, or was there some other reason? At least, even though there was no light of life in the dragon's eyes, for some reason, there was no sign of the wildness in his appearance like before. The mouth of the hooded person moves. The corpse dragon just stared at the person, but then it spreads its regenerated wings, flew into the sky, and flew away. The hooded figure, who was left alone, simply watched the corpse dragon fly away. God damn, God. Shit. The time when the fallen sun rises again and reaches the mid-heaven. Nosmu was alone in the front of Shino's hut. Swinging his sword, the master's sword, a memorial tablet are placed in front of the hut. Nosemu felt as if Shino was watching over him as he repeated his practice swings. Nosemu's whole body still felt tired, as if his body felt heavy like lead, and his heart was still full, but his heart was still full of vitality. Huh? The sword swung down and cut the air, and the wind calmed Nosemu's cheeks. The scent of the trees and the earth around you, the sound of the wind, every time he swung his sword was soothing to Nosemu's ears, and seemed to cleanse his mind, which had been clouded by doubt and fear. It's been several months since I fought my master here and accepted her feelings. Although only that much time had passed away, Nosmil felt that he had come a long way. Even though I swore I wouldn't turn my eyes away from the fact I was running away, I couldn't step forward from there. Somewhere in my heart, I was always worried about my ability to be clearly different from others. That time had been nestled in Nosmu's heart for a long time. What will I do when I find out I'm a dragon slayer? What should I do if my power goes out of control? This anxiety was further exacerbated by the fact that Ken had confronted him with the truth, and that he had used his power in anger after learning the truth. Anxiety grows day by day, and the resulting misunderstandings with Iristina and the others. A rift formed between Nosmu, who was unable to reveal his secret to her, and the girls, who were unable to question Nosmu. It became even bigger as the two of them were unable to interact for a long time, making the rift between them even bigger. And this time, during the Battle of the Corpse Dragon, it tore apart and broke. If you think about it normally, Nosmu, who hesitated to use his power in such an important situation, and Marth, who went bent out of control by himself, would no longer be able to be friends with him. But Sheena and the others overcame it. What comes back to Nosmu's mind is the image of Sheena and the others who had a falling out in this place, just like Nosmu and the others now. Sheena goes berserk with hatred for the black monster that stole her hometown, and Mimaru loses her composure after hurting her lover. At the time, the situation was dire and could be considered fatal. However, in the end, the girls confronted each other honestly, understood each other, and were able to overcome the crisis. Those most secretly envied these girls, and they looked so dazzling. What if I had used this power back then? Yesterday, when Nozomu was swinging his sword in desperation on the outer edge, the words that Sheena spoke to him came back to Nozomu's mind. She said that if Nozomu had used the power of the Dragon Slayer when he fought the Black Monster, she would have not been able to reconcile with Mimaru and the others. I am grateful. Thanks to you, I was able to face Mimaru and the spirits once again. Even though Sheena knew that Nozomu couldn't give his best, she still showed her gratitude towards him. And Henry, who was nearby, was watching over Nozomu with the same expression as usual. I want to be your strength. It's okay, Nozomu. And I felt the warmth of their hands. Her words and warmth of her hands touched Nozomu's heart, which had shrunk from the guilt of not being able to use his powers, and gave him the courage to move forward once again. Because of a sharp sword streak carves a line in the air. The sword dance was full of vitality, completely different from one he performed at the outer edge yesterday. There are people who will be by your side. That joy allows Nozomu to make powerful strides. Her body moves His whole body muscles worked together perfectly. A sword that swings down to cut down all obstacles. His eyes were filled with anxiety, but more than that, I could feel his strong will to move forward once again. Nozomu was swinging his sword without hesitation. However, the sword he was wielding wavered slightly. After all, he probably couldn't disguise the fatigue that had accumulated throughout his entire body. What are you doing? I don't remember teaching you such a lazy sword. Suddenly Shino's voice came into Nozomu's head. Her angry voice never stopped when she was training in this place. Of course, there was no way she could say anything now that she was silent. All Nozomu could see was her sword and her memorial tablet. I understand, Master. I'll do it properly. So please refrain from from physical punishment. Although it is clear that she is no longer there, Nozomu declares as if he is talking to the tablet. Then why don't you do it quickly? Next time, the eagle's sword will fly instead of the mouth. For some reason, Nozomu sees his master gleefully taking out his sword and extremely compressing his ki. Master, please don't suddenly try to kill your disciple. Nozomu's face smiles as he remembers the nostalgic scenes that were once part of his daily life. Incidentally, after this, Nozomu remembered the unreasonable punishment that had always befallen him. And before he knew it, sadness was in the air behind Nozomu. Nozomu was wielding the sword for a while, but he still felt the fatigue that had built up. He stops swinging his sword, stands still, and begins to close his eyes. It is this place that Shino is reminded of the time when he confessed his past, in which he was betrayed by her sister and ran away. Shino looked like he was about to cry, even though he had slashed Nozomu to pieces with Genmu regression and was subjected to a storm of even more brutal slashes. She was saddened by the fact that her feelings were not conveyed to her and by Nozomu, who was about to give up on life. It took me a long time to realize. I'm losing my voice, holy crap. Shino realizes how much time he has left to live. She has thrown away all the little time she has left, which is far more precious than gold, to convey her feelings to Nozomu. But if she didn't get it, she wouldn't have wasted her precious time. But if he didn't get it, she wouldn't have wasted her precious time. When she stood in front of Nozomu, she had already made up her mind, but behind the scenes, she must have been worried about whether or not he would truly accept her past that she had run away from. Otherwise, she wouldn't have begged him to accept her feelings with that tearful face on her face. There is no way that any human being would not feel anxious about revealing their past or secrets that they would like to keep a lid on. Still, she moved on. Even with her worries and anxieties, she wanted to express her feelings. I wouldn't have noticed if Henry hadn't asked me. It was because she slowly came to ask Nozomu about Shino, as if to confirm that Nozomu was able to remember the reason why he was able to accept Shino's feelings. This time, unlike that time, he was the one to confess it himself. I still feel anxious. There is also fear, even though the warmth and words of the two men that remained in his hands supported Nozomu. We can't stand still forever. The anxiety she had at that time when she confessed that she had been betrayed by her beloved family and her lover. She must have been upset, thinking that she would lose her loved ones again, but she moved on. To convey the last words to Nozomu, and more than anything, he wanted her to accept him for who he really was. Then I have to move on too. And the time will come when Nozomu will have to move on. Considering what happened during the battle with the corpse dragon, if he continues to be friends with Iristina and the others, he won't be able to keep hiding his powers. Even though Iris and the others know that I have power, they won't know what kind of power it is. Even though Iristina and the others know that Nozomu has power, they do not know what it is, the power of the Dragon Slayer. What kind of answers will they give when they learn the true nature of their powers? Maybe you might be rejected, but even if you're worried, you have to move forward, Master. Chino taught me not to turn away from the fact that I risk my life and run away. And then the image of Sheena and the friends coming to terms with each other came to mind. Just talking about it might not be enough. Simply telling people that you are a dragon slayer may not be enough. I don't know if I can get people to understand the essence of just by talking about it. The root of his fears lies deep within his power. Can it be opened in the first place? Yesterday's scene came back to Nozomu's mind. In front of his friends in danger, he tried to shake off his depression and releases his oppression, but the chains that bound him did not budge. But once again this time, when Nozomu closed his eyes again, the bushes behind him shook. Did you come? There's no need to turn around. I can feel the presence on my back, even though we only met for one day. It feels like she's been away for a very long time. Nozomu slowly turns around. My friends from the school, or rather, the people who were about to become my true friends, were standing there. Righto, so I think that was chapter 5, section 24. Bloody, that was a bit of a read. No comments from Cadet, but yeah. Anyway, good read.